Okay, hello everybody. We're going to start the webinar soon. Thanks for joining us again. I especially want to thank our Belgian friends joining because there's a game on right now. Maybe you guys can keep us updated about how Belgium are doing in the Euros. While we wait for people just to join, if you guys would like to just pop into the questions and answers section on top and just tell us where you're listening from, where you are. All right, so this is not a football. This is not a football or a soccer webinar, guys. So we're gonna switch it around. Otherwise, we'll get lost. We'll lose ourselves. Thank you, everybody, for joining the webinar. Welcome to another webinar brought to you by Portugal Realty about legal steps of buying in Portugal. Just a couple of house rules before we get started. We are going to have a questions and answer section at the end of the webinar. So please, if you can, just hold your questions. We will be addressing the ones that are the most relevant, and we'll try to get through as many questions as possible. So please, yeah, you've got a little question comment section in the top of your phone or on your computer, wherever you're listening from or watching. And then just jot in your questions near the end, and we'll be happy to address all the ones that we can. You can't, you're all muted and we can't see you, so you can say what you want while we talk. You can give us the middle finger. We don't know any better. You can say all the things that you want about us while but also if someone wants to just keep us up to date about the Belgian soccer score, that's important information as well. So yeah, but let's get started. So my name is Dylan. I am sales director at Portugal Realty and a certified realtor. I'm also the host of Portugal the Simple Life podcast. I've lived in Portugal since 2009, so Portugal has been my really, really happy home for the last 15 years. And I've just had the most amazing job of helping people and introducing people to this wonderful part of Portugal here on the Silver Coast. I'm a father of three. I'm married. My wife is Portuguese, which is why I am the size that I am, because Portuguese wives tend to feed you very, very well. Um, and yeah, three kids, two teenagers. That's why I have less hair on the top of my head, so it's pros and cons. These things happen. But luckily for everybody listening, you're not going to be listening to me for 45 minutes. I've got two great guests and friends with me here. First, Bruno Valentim. Bruno, thanks for being on the webinar. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's always great to have the opportunity to talk with people from all around the world like that. So I'm gonna be fast. I've been working for Portugal Realty for 5 years almost now as a certified realtor. I love it. I came to Portugal with my family as well. I have two kids, an amazing wife, and I thank God every day to have taken that decision of coming living here, and it's great to have the opportunity to share that with people who want to do the next step as well. People that are thinking to live in Portugal. So yeah, thank you for inviting me, Dylan.
Thank you, Bruno. Hui, how about thank you for being on the webinar, the first time being on our webinar, but thank you so much for joining us from Caldas de Rainha. Tell us about you.
Hello, thank you for the invitation, Dylan. I'm from Caldas. First of all, I don't have so many good news for the people that are watching us from Belgium.
1-0 to
Uh,
Slovakia.
yeah, but okay, the 10 minutes, they have a lot of time. Talking a little bit about me, I'm a lawyer. This year, for 20 years, since March of this year. I have acted real from the beginning with overseas buyers and investors. I'm kind of specialized in real estate law. I was born and raised in Lisbon, but in 1997 I fell in love by the Silver Coast, so I moved to this area, and since back then I'm living in Caldas da Rainha, in the Silver Coast. After my degree in law, I have done what we call here post graduation. This is a training course of in the university. I have done one in real estate law and in law contracts. That's why I'm in some way closely acting in this area. I have to tell that the wives in Portugal are not exactly like this, because I have a wife too, and I don't have your size, Dylan. So we can eat. It's very difficult to say no to the amazing food of Portugal, but we can make some kind of sport. We have plenty of them. Just to make this clear.
I'm
Okay,
gonna.
sorry.
I think
Is
we're
it a
gonna do
is
this
it a
webinar.
suggestion?
I think we're gonna do this webinar without you, Hui, from now on. Thank you for joining. All right, let's keep going. This is also not this is not a diet webinar either. Okay, so we're going to talk about some good things. Let's move on, guys. Thank you for introducing yourselves, and let's move on to the next section. So we'd like to just chat to the title of this webinar is Legal Steps of Buying in Portugal, buying property in Portugal, and that's the things we're going to cover. That's why I've got Rui Tiberio with us here, and Bruno, my colleague at Portugal Realty, with us. You'll notice on the slide here, for those of you that are watching, we've got these are images of real life clients of ours. We've got clients here from France, we've got clients here on this picture from America, from South Africa, who went through the steps of purchasing property here on the Silver Coast. And you can see kind of the circle of life here. So from the left, you've got meeting Bruno at a property show in the UK. We also have our property shows in Belgium and the Netherlands with Emo Portugal. The right, we have a client of ours that bought a plot of land. And on the left bottom, you'll see Bruno with his clients where they bought the property, and this is them standing in front of the house finished and really, really happy. And then clients picking up their welcome packs and their bag of goodies from our realty office here on the Silver Coast. But Bruno, this all starts with choosing a realtor, and choosing a good realtor and choosing the right realtor is one of the most important things. I mean, why is it so important to choose that person and to find that realtor that you can deal with when looking for your dream home?
Well, it's definitely the most important step, because it's the foundation of your project. That's the time where you will basically transmit to a professional all your dreams. So that needs to be a professional who listens to you, who understands you, who is capable of taking you to properties that fit in your requirements, that fit in the type of lifestyle that you want to reach once you are in Portugal. So that person can't do that by listening to the tone of your voice, or just by looking to the look in your eyes. He needs to ask you questions. He needs to listen to you. Um, um, and he needs to be able to take you to the right place once you are here. So I would say make sure that the professional you will choose is listening to you, is answering to you in a way that sound like he understands you, and is going to take you to the place you want to go. So that would be my advice. Also, somebody who knows the location. I think it's important to choose a professional that works and lives in the location where you want to move, because who better can speak than a person who lives every day in the area that is going to introduce you to. He needs to live there. I mean, you can't talk about an area, you can't uh, uh, um, advise clients to an area that you don't deeply know. So I think it's an important point to make sure that the person that is talking to you about the Silver Coast in this case is a local.
100%. I mean, Hui, from your point of view, and we're going to talk more about what you do and how you assist the clients. But from your experience, how is it important that people finding a reliable realtor, that people are finding a certified realtor who knows what they're doing, who's got a good track record, who's got the experience? I imagine you've seen things go well and you've seen things go bad in this kind of business. But just from your perspective as a lawyer, how important is it making sure that you get that choice right?
Yeah, it's really, really the very first step. like Bruno told, and well, it's the very first important step, the foundation, as he said, and is important because to be very clear, some real estates, their goal is only to invoice and to have their commission, and that's it. And we have some of the real estates that they have a special concern about the clients. They have only properties, like we say, free and clean, without any problems, area problems, property problems, and well, unfortunately, in all places in the world, there are in the market good players and bad players. It's very important to choose, in my opinion, in a first moment, a local real estate broker, because they can know better for the national-wide real estates, and also it's very important to choose real estate that has the concern more than only get one sale or one commission, to invest in and to work, deal with reliable sellers and builders. For me as lawyer, this is actually the most important.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. Just guys, to talk about the second point, and we'll be brief with this. Um, we're so the webinar is brought to you by Portugal Realty. We're part of a larger property group called Leisure Launch Group. And as you see on the photos here, these were all clients that bought properties off plan, with specific purposes. And today, all of these clients are happy sitting with their homes. You'll see there's a client there with standing on his plot of land. This is an American client of ours who bought sight unseen, never been to Portugal, bought a plot of land with a project approved. And it's important to know, as part of the Leisure Launch Group, that we've got various services available to our clients that will assist our clients through all of these steps involved once they've found their property. So we're talking about the realtor like Bruno, who will help you, will have conversations with you, will do Zoom calls, helping you try to narrow down your thoughts, narrow down your options, get a really good idea of what you're looking for, ask you a lot of questions, be open to you asking him a lot of questions, but finding you the right property. Because most of our properties are in construction or off plan, we've got a dedicated group of project managers who assist our clients through the entire process of the property being built. Once the property is being built, while the property is being built, they're going to help you choose your finishes. They're going to keep you up to date with the different stages of construction, and be there when the house is delivered and make sure the house is delivered as promised. We then have SCH, who can help you with your connections, helping you connect your property to the utilities that you need, water, electricity, internet. We have Portugal Interiors, part of the Leisure Launch Group, that will also assist with furnishing and making sure your property is rental ready. And then we have SCH again, who will help with your property management and your rental needs. All of these services under one roof. And coming back to it again, with clients that are, in most cases for us, clients that are overseas, sitting somewhere in the world, just with your experience, clients that are able to have access to all these different services, how important is it and how valuable that is, for your clients in your experience?
The question is why they need a lawyer?
Access to all the services. No, access to all the services. How important is it that the clients are dealing with a company that has all of those services available to them?
Okay, sorry. It's important for mostly for this. Buying a property is not only and strictly buy the property and that's it. There are some services that are linked to the purchase, like the connection. It's a very very often. My clients ask me, it's not, it's a service that comes after the deed, for instance, and is essential have the connection of water and electricity, for instance, because the property can't be used if these connections are not done. The furnishing, for instance. So basically, in short, buying a property includes some simple steps, but very important steps, and is very useful this kind of, I would say, services in a round of buying the property.
Let's assume our clients have, in a hypothetical situation, clients have found the property they want, the location they want, they've fallen in love with something. Korea, as a lawyer, why do clients, or why should clients use a lawyer in any property transaction?
Okay, for the very important is to assure that is the strongest point. Assure that everything is well with the property, with the selling party. It comes from the what we call the due diligence. So checking, in simple words, checking if
Yeah, we'll
everything
come
is
to the due diligence.
with the properties, if there are no leases, no debts, no mortgages. When we're talking about a plot, for instance, it's important to check if the areas of the plot matches in every document. This kind of work is, I would say, a back office work, but is really important. I would say that for clients that come from abroad, it's important from a language question. They would not understand the Portuguese, the official documents, because all the documents are in Portuguese. We lawyers, we can make, for instance, for the contracts, normally it's then in English version, bilingual version, but the official documents come, all of them come in Portuguese, so it would be very important for starting because of the language, and also to assure that everything runs well, smoothly, and with no surprises.
Yep. I mean, Bruno, from your side, I mean, we're seeing here on the photo, for example, we've got clients, different nationalities, clients from all over the world. Why do you, just from your perspective and from the side of as the realtor, why do they need a lawyer?
Well, in my opinion, it's really important for them to be followed by a lawyer at every step of the purchase. And for the simple reason that it makes everything much easier for them. We need to understand that they are buying from another country. They are not used to the Portuguese language. They are not used to the Portuguese law. And having a lawyer taking care of their process when they are not here makes the process stress-free. Uh, it's what I usually say to my clients. Why would you take a lawyer to sleep better at night? Because you know that everything is being controlled by a professional. If something needs to be communicated, your lawyer will tell you on time to make sure you'll be prepared. And in certain cases, you can even give power of attorney to your lawyer, and you don't have even to buy tickets, miss your job. And organize a trip at last minute because you have to be there for a signature. Your lawyer can do it for you. So and let me do, please, Dylan, a little bridge with also the other services of the brand. I think it's on the same philosophy. Those services are here to avoid stress, to make it easy for you to be able to save time once you come to Portugal. So I would say it's a bit on the same line.
Yeah,
Having a
Bruno,
lawyer here. Yes,
you're
sorry,
there. We've got the photo of you standing with your French clients in front of their home, finished, delivered. Um,
completely,
and I mean, their experience was quite a bit of a rocky one as well.
completely.
Initially, just how important was for you also just knowing that, hey, I can look after these clients in every step of the way, and it's all in one family, it's all under one umbrella, and they're gonna have all of their needs met.
Sure, it's a great question, Dylan. I won't tell their names for a question of privacy, but those clients were an amazing experience because when they called me the first time, they wanted a finished property because they had a bad experience with new construction in France, and at the end, they choose to go for new build. So they waited for a year and a half for their new house. I can tell you that at the beginning of the process, they were quite worried because they didn't know where they were going. But once they understood that they would be followed by a lawyer, that they would be integrating a serious brand, that they will have access to all the services that make it simple at every time they come, they told me that day, that told me thank you because it was simple. We never felt lost. And why they didn't felt lost, it's not because only because of me. It's because of all the professionals that work around a process of buying and the process of construction. We're talking about almost 75 people, if we count Rui and other possible partners. Um, 75 people working only on one house, only for you. Obviously, you won't see them all. You just will see some faces, but those faces represent all that, and that's
Yeah.
what makes the thing simple.
Okay, awesome. Let's actually talk about, so clients have found the property they want. They've appointed a lawyer. Hopefully, it's Hui. And let's talk about the next steps. First of all, it's really important to state and to clarify the fact that you are an independent lawyer. Um, why should it be an independent lawyer? Why is that? Why is that part important? Because it seems like an insignificant little detail, but it's not. It's a big part of it.
Yeah, really true. It's really, in my opinion, it's really important to have an independent lawyer. By the way, I didn't say that in my presentation, but I'm a independent lawyer from the beginning of my career. It was a clear choice of myself. Basically, an independent lawyer means a lawyer that works only and strictly for their clients. In my case, I don't work for the real estate, for any real estate. I work only for my clients. This means, in other words, that in this way, a lawyer should follow and make strictly and only the instructions he receives from the client. He is not tied to any broker, any seller, any builder. The idea is formalize everything in a legal way, of course, the contracts, the deed, etc. But, and very important, is a very important big detail, should defend the best interests of his client. So it's not only to sign and to make all the procedure, but it's a kind of the Portuguese arm of the clients. They are here. In my case, it's a procedure I have. The clients are always informed of all the stage of the process. They are not never. They should not ask for information because they are updated each time there are any progress in the process. And it's very important for this lawyer to be independent. I say this because maybe it's not only in Portugal. Some real estates, they have their own lawyers. I think it's a mistake because in the end it might lead to a conflict of interest, because I think we should represent our clients. We should fight in a good way. Of course, I don't fight to people, but we should be very clear and present ourselves as lawyers of the clients, representative of the clients, and in this way we are clearly representing their interests, what they want, their goals in the process.
Okay. Let's talk about, you mentioned a word previously, due diligence. Again,
Mhm.
seems like
The
just
boring
a
part
random
is
word. It
right.
seems like a random word. Like we don't, hey, Bruno, we don't employ lawyers in-house because they do the boring stuff. Like we would fall
Yeah.
asleep if we had to listen to the lawyers
Jesus,
talk every day here in the office, you know.
thanks
No,
God,
but
I don't have to do that.
yeah, but Hui, I mean,
Thank
tell
you.
us, just take us through
So
what
nice.
due diligence is and how that all works and why it's so important as well.
Yeah, trying to make this a little bit lighter. The due diligence is a complicated word for a simple thing to be understood. Due diligence means that the phase, I'd say the previous phase, to check all the documentation of the property, if we're talking about the finished property, or otherwise a plot when it's like you said, the buying of the plan means that is bought a plot, a piece of land, and then contract the construction of a villa. In both cases, so in any kind of cases, one of the most important parts that is not seen by our clients, but it takes some time and it's very important to be accurate, is to check all the documentation. In Portugal, we have several documentation we have to take care of regarding the property, the ownership, the licensing, the registration. Well, I'm not going to boring you with technical details, but all these documentation we have to check to assure that in the end all comes well. In my practice, I have several rules, but one of them is it's always in this case in the legal is always important to avoid the problems than to resolve them. So if we are take time with that and check properly, it's really important to assure right from the beginning that everything will run well with due diligence.
Okay. Let's talk about the process involved here. We're going to try to just differentiate it slightly between houses and apartments, because it is a different process. Previously on the first slide, we saw the process that people go through with buying their plot of land, doing a building contract with the builder, and building a house. Over here on this slide here, for those that are watching, we've got our Polish clients who they bought an apartment completely off plan. Um, Rui, let's talk about those steps involved with an apartment, in this case, an off-plan apartment, and just take us through the three key steps. Normally, what happens, obviously, if somebody wants a property, they're going to reserve it.
Mhm.
They're going to put down a reservation fee of some kind, and then they're going to engage with you and go through the legal steps of the property. So just take us through these steps here: CPCV, contracts, and title deed.
Mhm. Okay. Um, to
So let's
be
focus on the apartments. Apartments for now. Let's just go through that step, that process
okay,
to
okay.
start.
Okay, so the CPCV means something a very long name for a simple thing. It means in Portuguese contrato de promessa de compra e venda. In English, something like promissory contract of purchase and sale. And to be even more simple, the sale agreement. It starts with this. Basically, is in this contract that we define the rules of the game. In some way, we define the parties, who is going to be the buyer, the seller, it should have a full identification of the property. This is very important. Also, the payment is also, I suppose, very important. As the way of the price and way of payment. Normally, we have in Portugal initially one or more deposits, and then the final payment or the remaining payments. And all of this is important to be very clear in the contract. Normally, I used to say to my clients that the contract should be done in a way that a 12-year child can understand them. Should be very clear, because if we have any parts that there is misunderstood or is not clear or between the lines, is halfway to have problems. So in my opinion, the contract is a very important piece. Then comes the deed. The deed is, in short, a confirmation of the contract. The confirmation is a promise. Each part is promising to something. In this case, one part is promising to buy, the other part is promising to sell. And in the end, it's a kind of confirmation of this promise. One part is buying and another part is selling. Dylan, if you allow me, it's very often is a question to me this. Normally, from from countries like Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, the role of the notary in Portugal. The
Mhm.
thing is, normally in this, I would say, in Central Europe, the notary can represent any party involved. So they can make, like I explained, the due diligence, they can receive funds, they can pay funds in the mortgage, they can receive from the bank. In Portugal, this is completely is not accepted, is not allowed, and is even forbidden. The notaries in Portugal, they make in the end of the process, so in the deed, in the final deed or in the title deed, they simply stamp the contracts, they stamp, they sign, they read, they stamp, and they sign. All the work regarding the due diligence, making the contracts, receiving funds, etc., is done legally by the lawyer. So even sometimes my clients ask me why it's like this in Portuguese, the law, the role and the part of the notaries is basically to confirm, to stamp the final deed in the end of the process, in the purchase act itself. Okay.
Okay. So just to resume that this is a notary's job is what it basically says to notarize. It's to confirm that everything is
Exactly.
correct, confirm that
Mhm.
there's a transaction has taken place, ownership is being passed from one person to another, and just confirm that everything is in order. Correct? With
Exactly.
all the
Exactly.
documentation before, and it's your lawyer who's going to be preparing all of that, telling you
Exactly.
what to put on the check, etc. And then just to quickly, just because we're talking about apartments here, just to again resume. So the process would simply be purchase contract, a promissory contract of purchase and sale (CPCV), along with the signing of a deposit, okay, along with the paying of a deposit.
Mhm.
This is the client's promising to buy, and the seller's promising to sell. And once
Yep.
the building is delivered and everything is done correctly and the licenses, then we go to title deed, which happens at the notary. Correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Perfect.
let's talk about the other option that a lot of our clients have also gone through, which is buying pre-construction. So purchasing a plot of land, signing a
Mhm.
construction contract with the builder, and the stage payment process. There's also title deed that takes place. There's also contracts that take place. Just take us through those steps briefly, if you don't mind, please.
Okay. The difference basically in the first option, so buying a finished property, the starts with the contract CPCV and ends and really ends in the title deed. So in title deed, the ownership is transferred to the buyer. It's done, is completed. In the buying of plan, it's a little bit different. The result in the end will be the same. So the client will have a property in the end, but in it's the procedure is in two different phases. The first phase is the purchase, CPCV, contract, and title deed, but of a plot. So it's purchased a piece of land in which will be built a villa. Then, in the same time, it's contracted a building contract regarding the villa. The building contract is a little bit different of the promissory contract because it contains a description of the villa, the plans, the finishings, the list of the finishings, the payment terms. But instead, making in one, let's call operation, is done in two. So the purchase of the plot by one hand, by the hand, the construction of the villa. Then, like the deed is done initially, when the client buys the plot stays in his name. And a very important detail, when the construction starts, it starts on the plot owned by the client. It means by, and this is very important, all the construction that is done on the plot belongs to the owner of the plot. So it's extremely secure. And in the end, it's not necessary to make another deed. Is a very actually from people from United States. They ask me this very often. It's not necessary to make a second deed because the property belongs already to the client. What is needed is when the will is ready, when everything is licensed, to make a registration because
Now there is a house on that land.
on that land is a house,
Mhm.
so it's necessary to make the registry in some entities in Portugal,
Okay.
but only to make this registration.
Okay. Also, just because we do have a lot of British people listening as well in the UK and other parts of the world, but there is deals can pretty much fall through at the last second if there's another buyer, if
Yeah.
there's someone who bids more, if if the current buyer doesn't sell their property or doesn't in Portugal, in terms of the promissory contract, this is a legally binding contract. It locks
Hmm.
both parties in. So as the buyer, it's secure. They are secured because both parties have paid, have sorry, not paid. Both parties have signed the CPCV. Correct, Rui? Just so this is a legally binding contract.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Actually, it's not so stressful like in UK. And just a very brief note: when the contract is signed, usually is paid a deposit. This deposit works like a guarantee for the client. When he pays, for instance, 10, 20, 30, whatever, this amount is paid to the seller and will be deducted in the end. However, this amount works like a guarantee in this way. If the seller pulls out, he has to pay you this deposit in double. Okay, it's a kind of insurance. Besides that, and very briefly, it's the buyer. Only the buyer has another guarantee called the specific performance. That instead he asks the deposit in double, he can optate for the specific execution. What means in short to force the seller to sell him the plot or the apartment that is contracted.
Okay. Wonderful, guys. That covers the legal steps. We're now going to open the floor up. We've still got a bit of time. We're going to open the floor up to questions from people listening. If you look on the top of your screen, on your phone, on your computer, there's a little questions box. Please, now is the time to pop in your questions. And let's see if we can address all of those. I see Bruno's back. I think he was going out to check on the football score or something. Yeah. No, I
Yes,
understand there was
I've
a
been
power.
quickly
There was a power
having a look
problem.
to the game.
One of the questions that we do have here, which not really related to legal steps, but it is a very important thing. I'll answer this question. We've got it from Hans van Eijden. What are the current regulations if I want to buy an apartment to rent it out for part of the year with AL? This is not a simple answer right now. There are regulations in place. The regulations were put in place by a previous government. That looks like it could change. Hence, what I would recommend is a lot of it depends on where the property is. A lot of it depends on who you're working with. What I'd recommend is getting in touch with us. We've got a contact details at the end of the webinar. But yeah, just free from your background, it is a regulated industry. You can't just rent your property out however you want to. There are laws in place in order to get AL. We know it's considerably easier with houses. With apartments, it is a little bit more complicated depending on locations. Just give us a quick, a quick background there, please.
Very briefly, there were in fact some changes only for the what you call units, basically apartments of a building, not with villas. The former government, we have a housing problem in Portugal, like the most part of the countries in Europe and even in America, Canada, etc. And one of the measures of the last government was exactly to suspend for some time the AL licenses for units, so for apartments normally. Now, just to make it simple, the new government that is in the new the new government from the elections that took place in 10th March. They said in the campaign that they will change all this. So in this moment, we are expecting with some anxiety, I would say, that this government changed this and comes back what it was before March.
Okay, thank you. Got two questions here about lawyer fees. What are typical lawyer fees? Is there a flat fee for apartment buying? Um, we're looking at a new construction unit. And the other question, which you can maybe be similar, is how are lawyer fees calculated? So, Hui, if you just want to take us through those.
Normally, there are no, there is no any, I'd say, legal instruction or law that can fix the fees. Like in every I would say areas like architects, doctors, each professional has her own fees. We can find, it's the market, we can find cheaper lawyers, more expensive lawyers, like when we can find cheaper architects, more expensive architects, but actually there are no rule, and it's not possible to say if there is. I already have seen colleagues that charge 1, 2, 3%. Some lawyers have an amount for every kind of cases. So it's not possible to say, okay, in Portugal it's like this because it's upon all professional. However, from my experience, I would say in the real estate law, normally, I would say that is, from my experience, is between 1 and 3% of the property.
Okay.
Of the
Thank you.
property price, sorry.
Of the property price. Okay. Another question that we've got coming in from, yeah, from Sylvan, is do most lawyers charge per hour or percent? Again, or flat fee? Sylvan, I'll just answer this one quickly, just based on experience. It does depend. You have lawyers. We do have some, as Hui would call them, colleagues in Lisbon who will charge per email, per property visit, per coffee that they make you, will charge you when they scratch their nose. Um, some lawyers will charge a flat rate, which will include all of their services. So it depends on lawyer to lawyer. Another question that we got from Keith, in the UK. Keith is asking, what is the yearly tax rate for property on the Civil Coast, and is it different for expats? Creed, do you want to help us with that one?
Sorry, I think
The yearly
the
tax rate
purchase
for
tax or
property. The yearly tax rate for property on the Civil Coast. So we know this varies from municipality to municipality. I think the maximum in our
yeah,
area is 0.45% of the municipal valuation of the property. But is it different for
exactly.
expats?
No, exactly the same.
It's the same.
So
Okay.
it's between, in Silver Coast, between 0.3 and 0.45 of the what you call the fiscal value of the property. That is always lower than the market price, and is exactly the same for Portuguese residents or not.
Okay. Another question coming in from Mary. Can a lawyer help me with my mortgage? Hurry.
Uh, yes, so we didn't talk about this, but the mortgage is very used. For instance, from people that comes from United States, is very used the mortgage. In my case, of course, I can talk only by myself. The purchase process includes the mortgage, so dealing with the bank, the choice of the kind of the loan, the rates, the time, etc., is strictly before the bank and the client, but the all the procedure, the paperwork, etc., is included in the purchase process because it's a really important part of the purchase process.
Okay, thank you. We have another question about rentals. So just to cap on what we were talking about earlier with renting your property out, it is possible to rent your property out, but just you have to consult with your professional realtor, with your lawyer, about what is and what isn't possible. Okay, so possible to rent your property out. It depends on location, depends on the current regulations. Those regulations may change, as Hui recently pointed out, and it depends on the property itself, whether it's an apartment or a house. There's various regulations. So for those of you that want to chat to us more about that, let us please get in touch with us, and we can give you a bit more information. But it is really a bit of a moving goalpost that you need to be aware of a couple of things. Okay. We've got a time for we expect the changes to be more favorable for rent. The question is, do we expect change to be more favorable for renting or worse? We expect it to be more favorable. Hui, do you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly. No, basically, like I said, before this law was possible, only in some areas of Lisbon and in some parishes, it's more crowded and the housing problem is more evident. But what we expect in the end is that the things can be like that were before March. So possible to outside Lisbon to rent it out for short-term rentals.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much. One thing, Bruno, that you would like
Thank
people
you.
to remember to take away from our webinar today.
No, just make sure that you choose all the right persons at each step of your project in Portugal, because it's important to have fun when we do such an important decision like moving to the country of our dream, buying the house of our dream. So make sure that you choose the right person to make it happen, like in your dreams, and choosing the right lawyer is definitely an important choice.
Hui, last word, last thing, one thing you'd like people to remember from our
Yeah, I
webinar
would
today.
say that I have to defend my lady, like we say in Portugal, and I would say that it's really, really important to have a lawyer. It means that you can rest on the process. You are supported, legally supported, and it is very, very important to have during the process a lawyer and with a simple, clear, and accurate communication.
Wonderful. Thank you. For those of you watching and you want to chat to us more about buying a home in Portugal, please get in touch with us. We've got our contacts page on our Portugal Realty website and on our IMA Portugal website. We've got a multilingual people. You can book a call to speak with us on our calendar function on our website. Bruno speaks like 4 or 5 different languages: English, French, Portuguese, Spanish. I've even heard him speak a bit of Zulu when he's had a glass of red wine or two. No, just kidding. We've got Charlotte who speaks French, Dutch. For our Dutch and Belgian clients, please get in touch with us on our IMA Portugal website and book a call to speak to us. And we'll be happy to help you with your search, with answering any more of your questions. Thank you so much for listening to the webinar. Also tune into our podcast. Every Monday, there's a new episode, Portugal, the Simple Life. And as we say in Portugal, muito obrigado. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being on the
Obrigado
webinar.
a todos. Obrigado.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm going to leave
Bye.
everybody with a video of one of our latest launches here in São Martinho de Porto, which is a beautiful, I'm going to leave you with a lovely video of one of our latest listings in São Martinho de Porto, and we hope you enjoy it. Take care. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Welcome to São Martinho do Porto, ancestral land of fishermen and shipbuilders. The iconic vessels crafted here include São Gabriel, the caravel that took the Portuguese to India. A special place in the hearts of all who behold its breathtaking beauty. A place where the soul feels at peace and the heart is filled with wonder and awe. São Gabriel Beach Apartments. Luxury living, honoring an ancient bond with the sea. The architects have honored the past with the illusion of a majestic vessel floating on the water, with its bow pointed to the sea. Apartments are meticulously crafted to maximize the stunning views of the bay and the sea. Spacious balconies elegantly depict wave patterns emulating the sea's rhythmic motion. Panoramic views of the sea and countryside from the rooftop pool and sun deck. A home inspired by the sea. A rare opportunity to have uninterrupted views of the Bay of São Martinho do Porto, the dunes, and the majestic Atlantic Ocean. Your gateway to beach living. A simple life home buyer property. You will have the support of a full-service group of companies, each a specialist in the 7 steps to safely buy a home in Portugal. Your very own project manager will be with you every step of the way. Welcome to the simple life.